Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Know the Foe podcast. And I'm a very special guest, maybe the most special guest I've had. This is an annual tradition. Angelique, no last name required, although Chengelis, just Angelique from the Detroit News is gracing us with her presence again this year. Um, Dirty little secret, she's from Cincinnati. So we went to UC. Dirty, your little secret, we went to rival high schools, and I think that Angelique booed me as a basketball player.
I still do.
But you didn't even know me then. Just this little guy who was just firing up 3-pointers, even though there was no 3-pointer back then.
Yeah, don't age us, please.
Yeah, there was not
Back
a
in the
shot.
day.
Yeah. And I will say for the record that I am older than Angelique.
That's correct.
Which you're
by
very
a lot.
By a lot, a few months. Angelique obviously covers the University of Michigan Wolverine football team, and rumor has it there's a game this weekend.
I didn't know that. I mean, I know this Thanksgiving. I really was sort of whining about this last night, Bill, that I loved the days when the game was before Thanksgiving. I
Of
just think,
course.
it's better for the students. I know a student who is flying to Los Angeles to be with her family for Thanksgiving and flying back for the game. And I'm just like, this is crazy. And it does start getting colder the later you go in November, which that doesn't bother me, but I liked it better before, but it's still the game no matter when you play it. Although I guess we could have that argument about, remember when people were proposing moving it to the start of the season? So I don't think I'd be in favor of that.
Remember? Yeah, that was like 15 years ago, and that was when there all that stuff was swirling around about expansion. I think it was when Nebraska joined the league, whatever. After time. And I remember talking to both Michigan and Ohio State former players, and they were appalled at the idea. So look, it is. I think everyone agrees it's best. It would, I don't say destroy the rivalry, but it would certainly minimize it if it wasn't the last game of the year. Because all year, Ohio State fans kind of watch Michigan from afar, and I'm sure it's the same for Michigan fans. And they go, okay, how's Michigan looking? How's Ohio State looking? How would they match up now? September, October, and now we're here, and now we get to find out. So,
well, the other argument now, though, speaking of minimizing it, is with the playoff. I mean, does it minimize it? I mean, Ohio State doesn't have to win this game.
right.
I mean, they're certainly motivated to win this game. Ryan Day's motivated to win this game, but they don't have to. And so people could say, well, that minimizes this game a little bit. I don't think so. I don't think you do. And I think most fans don't, because it is the game. We've all been indoctrinated in it since we were little kids. And but yeah, I mean, it still feels like it means everything. It certainly means everything to Michigan if they want to have a chance to somehow sneak into the playoff and the Big Ten title game. But I know it means everything to Ohio State too, even though they don't need to win this game.
Right. I actually posted a question. I did it half facetiously and half seriously just to see the reaction.
I saw that question. I pondered it.
Yeah. I mean, any other school in the country, it wouldn't even be an issue, right? I mean, you win the national championship. That's the ultimate goal. That's what matters.
Of course.
But if Ohio State, having lost 4 in a row, if you didn't have that, you also didn't have the Connor Stallions part of it too, probably. They are hungry for a victory. I mean, there is still, I think it's a very, very, very small minority of Ohio State fans who still consider last year's championship to be about a tiny bit of an asterisk because they didn't meet Michigan. I think that's preposterous. You win the national championship, win the national championship.
Totally preposterous.
But that's the mindset of some. I don't know what the number is. That's what I'm trying to kind of find out. Obviously, it's not a scientific poll, and I've had some people say, this is a stupid question." Kinda, but it's a pretty even split so far. I haven't looked in a while, but it tells you how important this game is.
Yeah, I mean, and back in the day, a few years ago, really to win a national championship, you had to win this game. So, I mean, it was sort of like, yes, you always say you want to beat Michigan because more than likely, if you win, you are in that national title hunt. But yes, I mean, I thought that I'm like, absolutely, you want to win a national title. I mean, that's the ultimate. And but I know this game means everything. But I think in the big picture, But then you could say, but you're not guaranteed a national championship, if you
Right,
lose it.
right.
So it is a tough one. But I mean, I think you gotta go big picture. You want to win the national championship.
Yeah. But 2 years ago, when both teams were, I think they were undefeated, right, going into
Hmm.
this game, and it was pretty much understood that the loser would be out, and that's what happened.
Hmm.
They lost. They
Hmm.
kept going to the Cotton Bowl that they didn't care about, and lost to Missouri. And Michigan goes on to win the national championship. Ohio State could have won that game. That was a close game, and
Yeah.
it's not like that for Ohio State this year. I mean, the bigger question almost is next week, assuming that they win or in the Big Ten championship, do they care about that game?
Right. Right.
Oh, I mean, they do, but it's not like they, have to revenge against Indiana, which hasn't beaten them since 1988, and
No, you want to be strategic because you want to prepare for a national
right,
championship. So you want to rest these guys.
you
And
want
I
to
know
rest,
they've been resting,
right,
receivers who've been injured, but yeah, it is all about the strategy. I mean, it sort of reminds me of like a baseball playoff now. Like when are you going to insert your reliever? I mean, it's all
right.
sorts of little, it makes it interesting, but it also kind of like, gosh, I mean, really, the Big Ten title game? Do you do you really care?
Well,
I
I
don't
think
think so.
they haven't won it in 5 years, so
Yeah, I
that's
guess.
so they want to win it. And again, like you said, even if you lose it, you think, okay, we saved ourselves. You still
Hmm.
might not win the national championship. Then you got
Exactly, right.
so when
It's a calculated risk, but
yeah, yeah. But I can assure you that I won't have to post a question next week asking, would you rather beat Michigan or beat Indiana? You know, I mean, that's not a question. Now, Indiana, that'll be the monumental game. Now they're going to be the playoff, obviously, also. But the
right.
idea of Indiana knocking off Ohio State in Indianapolis,
In Indianapolis, right.
would be such a cool thing for them. But again, that's like we don't care about
The
that.
Big Ten probably said years ago, let's just put the championship game in Indy. The Hoosiers are never going to get here. Purdue's probably not, but they have.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So it's not going to be home field advantage for anybody. So
right,
guess they have
right.
to rethink that now.
Um, all right, let's dig into this game. Um,
Hmm.
Ohio State's about a 10-point favorite, last I checked. Seems about right to me. Ohio State's defense obviously has been fantastic all year. Ohio State's offense without Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate was certainly not the same offense against a very bad Rutgers defense that we've seen.
Hmm.
Ian saying did not have a lot of open receivers to throw to last week. But Michigan's got a bunch of injuries too. Kind of go down the list. See, running back, who's oh my God, his name,
Justice Haynes.
right, Justice Haynes,
Yeah.
and Jordan Marshall was dinged up, although apparently he's going to play.
Yeah, he's
Just
fine.
kind of
Yeah.
just give your injury update.
Yeah, I mean, Rod Moore is out. He's a safety who I think Ohio State fans probably don't want to remember from winning, getting that interception at the end of the game a few years ago. Um, and Jordan Marshall did rest last week. He was in uniform at Maryland, could have played, and they wanted to get Bryson Kudzall in there and let him go. So, he got 100 yards too, with Marshall on the sideline. I ran into Jordan. He's a Cincinnati kid. He went to
Sure.
Archbishop Muller, so we chit chat because of the Cincinnati. And everybody gets mad when I bring up Skyline here. So whenever he's around, I always mention Skyline because it irritates everyone. But of course, he's a Skyline lover, and he's clearly ready to go. And Justice Haynes, I think that there's some rumor going around that he's trying to go, but Sharon Moore last week said he was done for the regular season. So he has a foot injury. And Max Bredesen last week at
Yeah,
Maryland,
right.
something happened to his foot. I haven't seen this clip, but apparently someone stepped on his foot. But Bill, I've never seen anybody on sideline on crutches move like this guy did. And he's like smiling, giving everybody thumbs up, and he's just like running up and down the sideline on crutches. So he is speaking to media this week. He's being made available. He's a two-time captain, and I got to believe that they'll do whatever they can to make him available because they need him. He's the heart and soul of this offense in a lot of ways.
So you really think he's going to play?
I do. Yeah, I do. That's my gut feeling. And yeah, I mean, he wasn't a boot, and but he's a fullback mentality. He's that
Right, right.
tough guy, and he's the guy who kind of gets that offense just the juice, and he's the juice. And um I think that Rod Moore's a big loss, but they haven't really had him all season. He hasn't really played much in a couple of years. So I think that's pretty much those are the key. Unless I've missed somebody, those are pretty much the key. Ernest Hausman. Ernest Hausman, team's leading tackler, didn't travel last week. Sharon said he's day to day. I don't know what his status is. I really don't. And Samaj Morgan, who did not travel last week, receiver, has had a lot of issues in with drops and in punt returns. He got sort of benched for that. And Andrew Marsh, the freshman receiver, is now returning kicks and punts, and so he'll be available. But Ernest Hausman, I think, could be he may miss this game.
How big a loss would that be?
I think it's huge. I mean, he is their leading tackler. He is their captain of the linebacking crew. But they've had some really good contributions now. Not they're bigger than contributions. I mean, Cole Sullivan and Jimmy Rolder have really stepped up since they moved Jayshon Barham to edge. So those two, and Sullivan's back. He had injured his shoulder in the Michigan State game, and he leads the team, I think, 3 interceptions. So I think they're okay at linebacker, but Ernest is a captain also. But yeah, I mean, so I think that's pretty much the injuries.
All right, let's get to the nitty gritty here a little bit. I think the most fascinating matchup in the game is Matt Patricia against Bryce Underwood.
Yep.
Totally
agree.
What will Matt Patricia pull out of his bag of tricks to confuse an 18-year-old, very talented, but 18-year-old freshman? How has Underwood handled all the stuff the teams have thrown at him this year?
Well, first of all, I cannot wait to hear what the reception for Matt Patricia is going to be here. I mean, he's hated by Detroit Lions fans.
Oh, of course.
I mean,
of course.
And even Marlon Klein, the tight end, another captain from Michigan, he's from Germany, who didn't come to this country till like 2022 or something. His first comment, I had asked Sharon about Matt Patricia's defense and how different it is from Knowles. And someone asked Marlon Klein about it. The first thing he said is, well, I know he's not very popular around here. And I'm like, well, the kid from Germany knows this. So, but he was a different guy. I mean, you read about all the stuff and how he was not really a player's coach and didn't really get along. Players were happy when he got fired. It sounds like it's just completely opposite situation now at Ohio State, that he's beloved.
It is. And like Jim Knowles did a great job last year. They had the number 1 defense and they won the national championship. You can't really do any better than that. But he was a guy who was more inclined to go in his office and devise the latest blitz than he was to schmooze with the players and do that. And Patricia does that. Patricia is very much a relationship guy. And even offensive players rave about him in terms of just, he's so friendly and so cares about us and all that stuff. And, I don't know him well because he hasn't been made available. Ryan Day's really cut down on the access. We used to get coordinators every week, and we don't now. Haven't really all year. So, but every time you see him, he's smiling. He's got the pencil in his ear, that on the top of his ear, and all that stuff. And he's been, if he doesn't win the Broyles Award, I'm not sure who possibly should, because you lose 8 starters and you have a better defense.
Yeah.
The national championship defense. It's kind of astounding. But I think
to get to
that's the matchup. What will he do to kind of mess with Bryce Underwood's mind?
Well, I mean, I think you've got to challenge Bryce Underwood. He went 3 straight games until last week without a passing touchdown, and he has had turnovers. He's been a little bit more turnover prone these last few weeks. He played well at Maryland, but Maryland's not, that defense is not Ohio State's defense. And, I think you've got to challenge him. You've got to rattle him. He does have mobility. I mean, he gets out. I mean, he can, and he has learned to slide a little bit, not very gracefully sometimes, but, he's not taking unnecessary hits. I think that the matchup also is this Michigan offensive line, which is now starting 3 redshirt freshmen, and your left tackle, your right tackle, and your right guard. And, I think that's where Ohio State can really apply a lot of pressure. And I will say this about Bryce, Bill, he really is unflappable. He does not get, if he makes a mistake, he's obviously upset, but he doesn't get. It's not like he doesn't. He just sort of forgets it, and moves on, and I think that's a good thing for him. Obviously, as a freshman, you want that. Chip Lindsey, new offense coordinator at Michigan, they've worked well together. I think he's giving him more responsibilities. But I do think you want to get this guy to you want to force him to throw, but by that token, there's also Andrew Marsh has really emerged, the freshman receiver. He's one of the best receivers I've seen at Michigan in a long, long time. And I think some people say Mario Manningham, probably last one, but I mean, I still, you go back to Nico Collins. That guy was a great talent, but they just didn't utilize him well. They're utilizing Andrew Marsh, and they've got Donovan McCulley, who came up big last week. And so he's got some targets, and he's getting very comfortable with those targets. He's just getting more comfortable. So it's about Matt Patricia making him uncomfortable.
Yeah, I agree. Ohio State's pass rush has been very hit or miss. When it's on, when teams are in passing situations, it's been very good. But in kind of standard downs, it's not, been overpowering by any means. They don't have a Chase Young. They don't have a Bosa. They've got a bunch of guys who just are relentless, led by Caden Curry, who's just never stops. But in terms of like raw ability, they don't have anybody like that. But it's the other thing about Ohio State's defense that's just amazing is their run defense is just stout as can be. I mean, they haven't given up 100 yards to a team all year, I think. And again, they haven't really faced anybody like Michigan, but give me your sense of that, I guess, of how well you think Michigan can and must run against Ohio State.
Bill, can we edit this? I have to go downstairs real quick. I apologize.
Yeah, sorry about that little technical glitch. Angelique had to take care of something real quick, and she's back. I think she just wanted to avoid having to talk about the run game against Ohio State's defense.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Michigan's bread and butter. I don't want to talk about it, Bill. It's been interesting. I mean, Justice Haynes and Jordan Marshall came in this season as 1A, 1B. Jordan Marshall coming off that big ReliaQuest Bowl win over Alabama. And Justice Haynes transferred from Alabama, big home run hitter. I mean, just getting these big chunk, couple 75-yard touchdown runs. He gets hurt. Jordan Hayes, Jordan Hayes, Justice is
okay.
Yeah, but Justice is terrific. There's no doubt. But I was always, and I keep trying to say, well, it's not because he's from Cincinnati. I thought Jordan Marshall was the better back in the sense that, to me, he was more of a Big Ten back. And I kept saying, I think he's your November back. And he's the guy who's going to just grind out those yards that you need. And he started showing that, as soon as Justice went down and Jordan came in. I mean, you're seeing him now kind of like Blake Corum pulling, it just got piles running with piles. And he's got speed and he's got ability. And I think, people probably don't know much about Bryson Kudzall, who's a former walk-on, was recruited by, I think his first offer was Saginaw Valley. And then it was Ferris State. And he is had track background and just really wanted to test himself. And he walked on at Michigan, and he is super fast and a really tough guy. So, that the run game has been productive, and I think it's also a sign of an improving offensive line. So, but I think Jordan Marshall, he's a guy from Cincinnati. He knows this rivalry. He bleeds it, and I think he's a guy who I think he'll have a very solid game on Saturday.
He's got a shoulder injury, right? That's what
shoulder. Yeah, I mean, he fell the way he landed on it in the Northwestern game. So, he was sort of holding it tenderly, but the X-rays, I guess, were good. So, and he could have played last week.
Okay. All right. Now they don't have obviously Colston Loveland, who was their stud last year. Didn't have any Ohio State game, and obviously didn't cost them the game. How is that position right now?
It's been different. I mean, it's they've got tight ends. They've got Marlon Klein. He's a captain. They have Deacon Tonelli, he's really emerged. Zach Marshall, who's made some big catches for them. Hogan Hansen is the guy they really wanted to have healthy, and I don't know that he's going to be ready for this game. He's missed a lot. So, just, they don't have a Colston Loveland. They don't have someone that just that all around
Yeah.
tight end, but they have some really good talent. And Marlon Klein's the best of it, but I mean, Zach Marshall's made some really big plays. So I think that's someone to look out for on Saturday as well. But the Marlon Klein is their key tight end.
Let's switch to defense. Obviously, they don't have Grant and Graham this year.
Mm-hmm.
Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant, who dominated Ohio State last year. Ohio State fans don't have to be reminded about what happened. Ohio State kept running into the teeth of that defense and did not go well for them. Those guys are gone now. How good is the run defense right now?
It's pretty good. I mean, what are they ranked? They're I was just looking up the numbers. They are 12th, giving up 96 yards a game. I mean, they're pretty good, and that's their strength of I think that they are the one thing Lou Esposito, the defensive line coach, was saying that he thought this was more reminiscent of the 2023 defense in terms of rotating a lot of bodies in and staying fresh. And you are seeing that. And they've got their strong edge guys as usual. That's sort of been Michigan's thing now the last probably 8-9 years, and Derek Moore is the key. And they've got Jayshon Barham now, who's moved from linebacker, and certainly play linebacker in a pinch if they need that. If if the Hausman situation, if he's not able to play, so. But they have gotten a lot of production from Derek Moore, and I think that the tackles are okay. They're not Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant. They're guys who transferred, the two primary guys, and Rayshon Benny has been coming on these last few weeks. So I think it's a really I think the front seven's pretty good. It's the secondary that I'm not sure what I'm just not sure about that group.
Yeah, and obviously, if Ohio State's receivers are healthy, and if it's
Mm-hmm.
not snowy too much, I mean, I don't know what the
Mm-hmm.
latest forecast is, but it's supposed to snow, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, in normal conditions, if you have Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate, and the weather doesn't prevent the passing game from taking off, how big an advantage is that for Ohio State?
I do. I think it is. I mean, they don't have Rod Moore, and he really hasn't played. Came back for a couple games. He is their, he's a two-time captain. He's a guy who brought experience. They've got Zeke Berry back there. Jair Hill has definitely improved from where he was last year, and they've made big plays. But I thought last week's game against Maryland, I thought Wink, he certainly likes to blitz a lot, and I think he left those guys alone out there too much, and they got burned. So I think that is something to watch for, is how does Wink play this chess match with that group, with those receivers? And it is all about the pressure that this front seven can get from, if they can get to saying, then I think all bets are off. But I don't know that they can. I just but I don't think Michigan wants that matchup. They don't want these guys to be out there having to cover these guys, and I'm not saying they can't do it, but I think that would be problematic for Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, it's first of all, Ohio State's pass protection's been really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Saban's been
Mm-hmm.
sacked, I think, 4 times only.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it is. And he's surprisingly mobile in the terms of feeling the pressure and being able to roll out. So some of that low number is because he's done a nice job of feeling the pressure. But
He's been sacked 6 times, Bill. I looked it up the other day.
Okay, whatever. And that's the Angelique we know and love. Just to point out everyone's errors and say you're stupid.
Oh no, I just happened to look it up because the Maryland's quarterback had only been sacked 3 times all season, and he got sacked 3 times against Michigan. So I was looking for that stat.
Okay. Well, I know Ohio State's fans are very happy that Aiden Hutchinson is long gone. That game a few years ago was made him a lot of money, I think. Aiden.
Yeah, it certainly helped. And But yeah, I mean, I think Derek Moore is really good, and he is someone who he was voted captain this year also, and has he's I think he's got 19 and a half sacks now in his career. So and what's he? I forget what he is. I should have looked up that stat. I'm sure I have it down here somewhere. He's at 9.5 this season. So he's definitely he's an impressive player. But yeah, I mean if they can't get to him, then I think it's gonna be a crazy day watching Michigan secondary.
Is it just that they're young, or are they just not that good?
Yeah, there's a little bit of young. I mean, Jair Hill's not young, and Zeke Berry's not young, but yes, there are some young players there, and Mason Curtis has come on. He's a big body, tall, slender safety, but I just, this is a big test for them, and they faced it at USC. They were challenged there, but this is going to be a different animal for them, and I'm very curious to see how Wayne handles this.
Obviously, 2 years ago, Michigan wins the national championship. Last year, a terrible year by Michigan standards. Is this
Mhm.
team kind of in the middle of those? Are they which one are they closest to?
Oh, I mean, how good there could be.
Yeah.
I think this is the year before the year. And I think next year they're looking at Bryce Underwood having a year under his belt, Andrew Marsh having a year under his belt. Those three offensive linemen, I mean, they're going to have to make some replacements, but they brought in a kid, a really good tackle who got hurt in preseason camp. So they have talent. It's young on offense. And defense, they do seem to keep reloading on the defensive line. They haven't dropped off too much, and since 2023, and certainly before that with Aiden. So I do think this is. I picked them 8-4 this season, Bill. I thought with Bryce and with I was really focused on the offensive line that I didn't think was going to be very good, and I'm a little puzzled why they are I think a semifinalist for the Joe Moore Award. But I did think that there would be a lot of growing pains and going on the road. I mean, they didn't have the cushion of 5 straight home games like they've had. So, it was home, road, home, road. They haven't had a back-to-back home game, which I thought would develop comfort for this young quarterback. So, with all that said, I mean, this has been to me a bonus. 9 wins right now, and if they can pull it off again on Saturday, what a amazing season for Sharon Moore and this team. But I think next year is the one that people are banking on.
Okay. The one other thing, the special teams. Dominic Zavada
Oof.
kicked a 54-yard field goal. That proved to be the difference in that game last year. Obviously, had the chip shot to win it. He's had his struggles this year, hasn't he?
He really has. I mean, he looks like a completely different guy, and he had the two misses at Northwestern, but one was 60 yards, and he had the leg. It just went right. The other one went right also, and then he makes the game winner. Last week he missed one, made one. He is. I watched him after the Maryland miss, and he just was sitting on the bench, just looking devastated. He was by himself. And so, yeah, that's been really like I just don't know what's happened to him after last year. And punting, they didn't punt last week, but that's been hit or miss. And then punt returns, always an adventure. And with Samaj back there, with Samaj Morgan, and I think they feel better now with Andrew Marsh back there. And I think it is an improvement. But yeah, it's just not been a weapon for them. It's not like anything. And I do think that's something that people have to take note of, is that this is a different group, special teams, and Zvada's different. So but he did come in and make the game winner and a couple weeks ago. So it's there. It's just
Yeah.
not like it was last year.
When I just look at the results this year, Michigan
Hmm.
struggles to beat Purdue 21-16. Ohio
Hmm.
State didn't struggle with Purdue. Struggles against Northwestern. It just doesn't seem to be that imposing a team, but they find a
Hmm.
way most of the
They
time. And
find a way.
USC beat them pretty badly, right?
Yeah.
Oklahoma beat them pretty soundly.
Hmm.
They haven't beaten a great team, right? They just
Right.
and
That's
so
correct.
I mean, I guess it's the prediction point of the podcast. I mean, what's your kind of outlook?
Well, I mean, I agree with you. Like I wrote like after the Purdue game, I'm like, this is not a playoff team. I mean, this is just it was sloppy, and they've made a lot of mistakes in these last few games, more turnovers. I mean, it's definitely because they were pretty turnover free, and I forget what their plus turnover ratio was early in the season was very good. And I think people say conversely, oh, who's Ohio State played, blah blah blah. But you know what, Ohio State has beaten up on the teams they're supposed to beat up on. And just like, Michigan did in 2023, you just beat up on the teams you need to beat up on. You can't help who you're playing, what the schedule says, when the Big Ten puts it out. But Michigan has found a way. And I keep wondering, is it smoke and mirrors? I just don't know. It's hard to describe this team. And because you can sit there and make excuses like, well, they're young, it's a young quarterback. But I thought Ohio State was going to pound Michigan last year, and that didn't happen. I'm like kind of like don't know how to predict. I am predicting an Ohio State win, Bill. Um, I don't know how big a margin. Right now. I'm like I haven't really thought about it, but I think it'd be a touchdown. And Michigan, the players do absolutely want this game, and they have been in what they call a playoff mindset since that USC game. And after that game, they did have what Sharon described as heated conversations. I mean, on the defensive side in particular, and that was a low point, giving up I think 224 rushing yards, and it was just a low point. And they have won since then, and they've embraced this playoff mindset. And they absolutely, they don't want to go to the Citrus Bowl, Bill. So
Yeah,
they
I
want to
get
beat
it.
Ohio
I get it.
State.
Um, well, Angelique, as always, again, this is a hallowed Thanksgiving week tradition. I get Angelique on the podcast. So, Angelique Chengelis from the Detroit News, thank you very much. Can't wait to see you up in Ann Arbor on Saturday.
Is this when I get to start booing you again, Bill?
Yes,
Boo.
yes.
Oh no. Happy Thanksgiving, Bill. Thank you. And I look forward to reading Buckeye Brotherhood, by the way.
Thank you.
So once the season's over, I know it's going to be a fantastic read. So I hope everybody's purchased it